G'day, welcome to my review of Dead Reckoning. I've got a few more reviews I was going to do, but since there's a campaign for this game running as I'm releasing this video, I figured I should try to get this one out quick smart. Dead Reckoning is from the designer John D. Clare and is published by AEG. It's all about trying to become the richest sea captain, whether by being a pirate, a merchant, or whatever else takes your fancy on the high seas. Doesn't matter, as long as you're raking in the cash. It's a 1 to 4 player game. All I can tell you about playing solo is that you're playing against a deck of cards that simulates another player. By all reports, it's a fairly challenging game. When I've played, it's taken about 3 or so hours to play, and that's with 2 to 4 players, with of course it running a bit longer when you've got more. Dead Reckoning is described as a card crafting 4X game. To cut through the mumbo jumbo, 4X means you're going to be exploring to find cool stuff, expanding to control places, exploiting those places to get stuff, and exterminating your opponents. Card crafting is something like a variant on your classic deck builder like Dominion, except in this case you don't build a deck by adding new cards to it, you build it by changing and improving the small number of cards you already got. The way it works is you've got these fancy big cards in sleeves. Throughout the game, you get the chance to buy enhancements using the main currency of the game, cargo. Yeah, that's right, the main currency of the game is cargo, but actual currency, coins, is how you win the game. You almost never spend coins to do stuff in the game, it's all just points to help you win. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. You buy these enhancements, and then at the end of your turn, you can put them in any card that you've played that turn. The cool thing about this is they're all see-through, so you slot them in, and you got slots for a top, middle, and a bottom. So you can improve each card with up to 3 enhancements. Once you've enhanced them, they go into your discard pile, so you won't draw it again until you use all the other cards in your deck, and then you shuffle your discard and start drawing again. There are 2 other additional cool things about this deck building you don't always get in other games. First, any cards you don't play stay in your hand. You can choose not to play everything, so if you got 2 cards that you really want to play together, just hold on to one until you get the other. Second, each of these cards represents a different type of sailor on your ship. Might be a first mate, a bosun, deckhands, gunners, and so on. While other people are taking their turns, you get the chance to improve one of these sailors by giving them a level up. That's right, after every turn, one of your cards is going to get better no matter what you do, even if you stuff up real bad on your turn. You always got at least one decision to make as well while other people are taking their turn. Each turn you get to set sail, moving around islands, buying up to 2 of the enhancements. You can drop cubes on islands so you can control them and potentially start producing goods and coins on them, or making buildings. You're always trying to get back to the dock to drop off your money and safely store it in your treasure chest. You might also have ship battles with other players, with this fancy ship cube tower thing that I'll talk about in a bit. The game ends when someone gets 4 achievements. These are things like collecting 30 coins, having 6 buildings, getting 4 of your crew to level 4, sinking an enemy ship. There's a bunch of other different options too. This means people might dawdle and you get a really long and high scoring game, or someone might rush to do 4 quick achievements and try to beat you before you can really start becoming a booty hauling pirate. Now I've given you an overview, I want to tell you what I like about this game. First off, I love the card crafting system. The fact that you've got a relatively small number of cards and you get to improve them, sometimes to be crazy powerful, is just plain awesome. Also, the way that you keep cards in your hand rather than discarding them means you never run into the problem with something like Dominion, where you never get the 2 or 3 cards you need that are designed to be played together in your hand at the same time. Next, we've got to talk about this cube tower. While fighting in the game can be pretty awkward, it can be difficult to build up the number of cannons that you want while doing the other things, the spectacle of ship combat is just bonza. You and your opponent both grab a cube for every cannon you each got, and then when you attack, you'll be dropping them all in at the same time from the top of the sail. You can do damage to other ship, collect plunder from the open sea. You need these crowns to actually win the battle. That's right, you don't win by simply doing more damage. And if you're lucky, you can even hit this exploding shot spot on the board, where you pick up the cube that landed there, and another cube, and drop them both in again. You can even get enhancements on your cards that allow you to drop more cubes, or even move cubes after they've landed. The whole thing is better than a barbie in summer. The game is a funny mix of being complex and straightforward. There's a lot going on, but once you get how a turn goes, you can maybe suss out what you want to do on any given turn without too much effort. That said, other turns you're really going to be racking your brain for your best move, which could get your opponents redder than a lobster, especially when you end up deciding to blast them with your cannons. The variety in the game means you've got a lot of options for how you win the game. You can try and build up loot by getting control of islands close to the dock and then just ferrying stuff back and forth. You could try to build up your ship and cover the entire board. You could try to rack up lots of cargo and buy high-level advancements that pop up in the deepest waters. You can even try and just fight everyone all the time and then loot their ships over and over. Production is also mostly pretty good. Decent quality cardboard, card sleeves that come with the game and nice and durable, and while I got myself fancy coins and cargo, you could certainly do without. Coins are certainly very nice, but the basic cargo that comes with the game is more than up to snuff. While there is a lot of stuff to love about this game, there are a few drawbacks too. First, while I said the production is mostly good, I do have a couple of quibbles for you. First, we'll start talking about that ship cube tower again. This thing is right awful to put together. No joke, putting it together is straight up hideous, and the instructions that came with the game were as useless as a wool umbrella. It's so bad that even the creators started pointing people at a fella who made a YouTube video on how you could actually assemble the thing. Fortunately, it's just a once-off, but it's still a pain. Second, some people who got the first print in this game have a problem where some of the backs on these tiles look clearly different than others. You might not be able to see from the video, but for me, when they're turned upside down, which they all are at the start of the game, I can clearly tell which tile is going to be an island and which is going to be empty sea. That's no good, but the publisher has promised they'll offer first-time backers the option to get replacement tiles if they back the new content in this campaign. The game is also a bit on the large side. You're going to need a healthy amount of space to play this game, what with the big cards, decks of enhancements, ship boards for each player, ship battle cube tower. It all takes up space. It's not huge, but if you only got a small table for gaming, this one could be a struggle for you. The game can also run pretty long. While I reckon 3 hours is probably what it should take, don't be surprised if it takes quite a bit longer than that on your first few games, or if there's a new player. It does get pretty thinky too. You got a lot of options and strategies, so if there's someone who's good at that, they're probably going to wipe the floor with you. You can get stuck thinking about all the possibilities you have, especially later in the game when you've got a ton of advancements on your cards. If you're playing with someone who loves to overthink things, expect the game to take even longer. I also think the ship battle stuff, while being an absolute ripper, usually doesn't feel like it gets used a whole bunch. You can try and do lots of fighting, but it's not an easy strategy to pull off, so the ship feels a little underused given how much fun it is. Or maybe me and my gaming crew just aren't good at being bloodthirsty pirates. I don't know, so maybe take this last bit of criticism with a bit of sea salt. The other thing I should mention is that aside from playing the ordinary basic game, you can also play the game in Saga mode. If you ever heard of legacy games, think of this like a short but replayable version of that. In a Saga, you're going to play 6 games with the same people, trying to score the most Saga points across the campaign. You get some points for winning, but you could also get it for exploring lost islands, digging up hidden treasure, recruiting a new crew member, or other cool piratey things, like finding a rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle. There are 2 of these sagas available already, and you can play them together and unlock even more cool stuff hidden in envelopes. The really cool thing about these sagas is that once you're done, you can just put all the cards back where they came from, and you can play through again, potentially finding different saga cards you didn't explore previously, or getting different combos of cards that allow you to unlock different outcomes, and you might get more of those new envelopes. This means you get some individuality each time you play a saga, and you don't have to do anything silly like rip up cards or otherwise permanently ruin your game. If you get a saga, you're not only getting a replayable competitive game, but you're getting a replayable miniature competitive campaign as well. If you reckon you will at all be able to get a few people to play the game on a regular basis, this is honestly a no-brainer. You'd be dead set drongo not to give it a burl. Lastly, I should give you a warning about the publisher, AEG. When it comes to communicating with backers after a campaign, they're about as quick as a wombat crossing the road. If you're used to fortnightly or even monthly updates from other campaigns, don't expect that here. You won't get it. I've backed 2 of their projects now, the first Dead Reckoning campaign and their recent Edge of Darkness one. And for both of them, they've had 2 or even 3 months between updates a number of times. If you want regular and clear updates from your crowdfunding projects, I'm sorry, but I can't recommend backing anything from AEG. I can, however, despite all that, still recommend Dead Reckoning. It's unlikely you'll see the game in any game stores, So if you're interested in it and you want it, you either got to back it or find someone selling it second hand. And I reckon if you want that, you're going to need the luck of the seas, because Dead Reckoning is a tops game. It's at least a solid pieces of 8. I mean, 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching me review. Now I reckon it's time to play some games.